Hi, I'm Kate Barrett, the founder of Shine a Light Media and the Email Marketing Academy, and welcome to today's Tuesday email marketing tip video. It's so lovely to have you with me. And as promised, I've got some amazing content for you today. So last week we spoke all about segmentation, and I mentioned a little sneaky hint that today we were going to be talking all about dynamic content. So dynamic content really builds on the personalization aspect of your emails, and this is how you're going to get the best results. So this is really, really key information to be listening into today. So dynamic content allows you to build one email and send out different pieces of content depending on who the subscriber is. So last week when we discussed segmentation, we talked about sending out different content to different segments of your list dependent on their interests, their behavior, their demographic information. Now, dynamic content allows you to do this in just one email. So rather than having 10 different emails targeting your different segments for your newsletter, for example, you can take one piece of content and switch it in and out depending on who that recipient is. So let's break this down a little bit more. Let's take the newsletter as the example. So let's say in your newsletter you have a space for 4 different articles that you want to share with people in that newsletter. Now, those articles on what interests different segments of your subscribers will be different depending on their interests, who they are, but you will have sets of subscribers with those similar interests. So you use dynamic content in your email, in the newsletter, in this example, to change out that content automatically in that one email. You're not building 10 emails, you're building one email with content that can switch out. So for example, the first 2 articles that you're displaying in your newsletter, they're standard, you want them to be sent out to everybody. The introduction in your newsletter is standard, you want that to be sent out to everybody. But the final 2 articles, you want those to change depending on who the subscriber is that is receiving that email. So let's break this down into really, really simple. So if you have male and female, let's use that as our segments. You may want to deliver 2 different articles to the male audience in your list than you would to the female audience in your list. Or if you're a consultant and you have different interest areas, so let's say you're a marketing consultant, those final 2 articles, somebody who's interested in SEO, those articles might be focused on SEO. Somebody who's interested in email marketing specifically, those 2 articles might be focused on email marketing. But they're going to switch out automatically. So this is a piece of technology that most email service providers have. Now, not all of them are going to have it. Some of the lower level systems won't have this functionality. Although, as an example, MailChimp does. Now, it's something that you have to code in manually, and you do have to dig around in the support section to find out how to do it, but you can do dynamic content in MailChimp. So if you want more information about that, drop me a message in the comments below and I'll get in touch with you and we can talk that through. But just to let you know, most ESPs should have that functionality. So it's about finding out what that functionality is for your individual email service provider, because there are thousands out there who will implement it in a slightly different way depending on the system. So look into it for your system and how it works for you. But what this is really doing is saving you time as well as helping you make your content much more personal, because you're changing out those sections of content depending on the individual subscriber you're talking to. So it's the same email going out to everybody, but the content is dynamically changing. Now, I just want to touch on a little area that people get a little bit confused about sometimes, and that's dynamic fields versus dynamic content. So dynamic fields are information that is pulled in from your database. So first name, for example, the name of the product that they just purchased, the date that they purchased, the date of the webinar that you ran, the title of the webinar that you ran. Firm information that is in the database that you can pull in as a field of data to add into your copy. So for example, dear Kate, I hope you enjoyed our webinar last Tuesday on how to get amazing results from your email marketing. we're pulling in that specific information, and that's all coming from the data in the database, okay? So think of name as an example there. Dynamic content is changing whole sections of your email, not just adding in their name, whole chunks of your email, whether that's content, whether that's images, whether that's different sales offers if you're a retail based business based on what somebody has purchased previously or perhaps been interested in. You can really start to break your email content down and deliver what is relevant to each individual subscriber, and that's where you're going to really start to see your results increasing. So this is a great technique, a great tool within your email service provider that you can use to get really personal without building 100 different emails to satisfy all your segments. You're using that dynamic content to make your life easier, save you time, but get that relevancy in place. So one example of how you can do this is, and this is a little bit more of an advanced example, so you may not be there yet, you may not be ready to use this, but I just want to give it to you as an example. One way to use this is with real-time content. Now, this is something relatively new to the industry in the last couple of years, and this is pulling in content dependent on the real life situation that the subscriber is in. So for example, if it is raining outside, as it is today, we are in England, if it's raining outside, you can change the content in your email depending on whether it's rainy or sunny. It's real time content based on the weather in that example. You could use a countdown timer in your email, and lastminute.com do this really, really well in a lot of their emails. They count down until the sales for the tickets aren't available anymore. So you can put a real life countdown timer in your email. It's all dynamic content, but this is examples of real life, real time dynamic content. So that's a little bit more of an advanced theory that eventually you may want to consider adding into your email marketing, and particularly countdown timers. Definitely have a look into that, because anything that has that scarcity, makes people act quickly, works really, really well in marketing content, and of course in email marketing content. So I've got a little challenge for you today. I've given you this really quick introduction to dynamic content, and I will go into it in a little bit more detail in some other videos that I've got coming for you over the coming months. But what I want you to do right now is have a look at your next newsletter. Have a look at the data that you've got in your system. So we're building up through the videos that I've recorded for you throughout June to really build up this picture of how you can use the data and technology available to get personal with your audience and increase your results. So take that data, look at how you can segment your data, and then look at how you can use that in your next email. So let's take your newsletter as an example. The next newsletter that you send out, can you use dynamic content within your email service provider to automatically switch a piece of content or an image depending on that subscriber? So for example, if you've got an event that's running in a specific location in the world, you may not want to tell people who are in America, let's say. If you're running the event in the UK in London, you may not want to tell people in America about that event. You could use dynamic content to only show that information as part of your newsletter if people are in the correct area to come and visit you at that live event. But again, don't forget, you have to have that, in this case, geographic data in your database to know who is in the right location to serve that content to them. So this is a little bit more of an advanced topic, and I don't want to confuse you too much with it, but I do want to introduce you to it and let you know that the technology available in email marketing will make your life easier. Get your foundation running, get those emails sent out consistently, know what your subscribers want to hear about, and then build your strategy to deliver that content using the technology and the tools and all the funky stuff that we've got out there in email marketing to help your business grow and increase your sales. So that's it for today, but just to touch on one little point, the video next week isn't going to be a normal Tuesday tip video. As I've mentioned in my last couple of videos, we have 5 Tuesdays in June. So what I'm going to do next week is answer your questions live in this Tuesday tip video. So if you've got any questions about email marketing, drop me an email to kate@shinealightmedia.com. You've got until tomorrow to submit those questions and I'll answer them in next week's video. So until then, have a lovely rest of the week and I will see you next week.